everybody, I'm Andrew from ATC Studio, and in today's video I'm going to be going over the new Warhammer 40k starter sets for 9th edition and particularly what my opinions are on them. So I will look through the paint sets and also the tool set, but I will start with the three main box sets. So first of all, there is of course Recruit Edition. Now this one is £32.50, which is quite nice how you do still get two decent-ish armies for what is a very cheap price. However, my problem with this is, again, you only get 6 Space Marines, so if you just want to start and do a bit of painting, you can't really get a taster of this, and furthermore, you've only got, on the Space Marine side, 2 units, both of which are focused on melee, so you can't really work on the game and understand the game just from this kit, which is a bit of a shame. I don't really too like the fact that assault intercessors are the focus troop choice for everything, because it's not the best because you're really stuck with melee options. However, the Necron side of it is much better. You still get decent-ish size army. You get Scarab Swarms, you get Necron Warriors, and you get the Warden, which is a really nice combination. You do get some decent Necron stuff. I think it's certainly better than First Strike was for if you just want a small taster of Warhammer 40k, and I think of all of these, this is actually probably one of the better ones. Again, I just will probably like it if there were maybe a few more Space Marine miniatures in there, just if it was 1 or 2, maybe like a squad of 7 or 8. Also, I would probably rather it be normal intercessors, or they have a small squad of reavers or whatever. So that is of course a recruit edition. I'm going to give it 7-8 out of 10. And you have the elite edition. Now this one is probably comparable to No No Fear. So again, they're all up a bit on last time. 65 quid, a bit more, but still enough just to have a still quite a cheap start to the game. Again, with this time with the Necrons, it's great. You get Overlord, you get 3 Scarab 10 Warriors, 3 Destroyers, and a Canoptech Plasma Kite, which is really nice and actually quite comparable to, again, of course, with No No Fear, you got a really nice Death Guard range, because of course you had the Demon Engine, the 5 Plague Marines, and Poxwalkers and Lord of Contagion. So that is really nice. You do get an awful lot of miniatures, and I would say the Necron stuff is on par with the No No Fear stuff for Death Guard. However, I'm not too impressed with the Space Marine stuff, because unlike last time, Space, you've got a slightly different variant of Captain, you've got a worse version of Intercessors and more melee focused, which isn't really as fun if you're just trying to start out. And then of course you also have the 3 Bikers, which which is quite nice and probably comparable to the 5 Hellblasters. So you probably have a tiny bit less in terms of points, as well as less miniatures to paint, because like for your main starter set, only having 9 miniatures really isn't going to get people into all the building and painting, because 9 miniatures, that doesn't take that long to build, and especially when they're only painting 5 stock Space Marines, when last time you effectively had 11 normal Space Marines, which gave them more of a taster on how 40k really is. So this probably is on par with what No No Fear was. Not quite as good. You're paying a bit more and you're not really getting any more that you need to start the game. If you want Necrons and you're just going to give the Space Marines to a friend of yours who already has Space Marines, then this is probably quite worth it. The friend can get the new 9th edition miniatures and you get a decent sized Necron army. But if you actually want to start Space Marines, this isn't really the box set for you. And also, again, I don't know why they keep these range rulers, because really you need to take measure. You can't just play with those rulers and not really as effective. You're going to need up to something that can do like at least 48 inches and preferably more for like measuring out boards and stuff. I do like how they've still got a mat and a small terrain piece. That adds a bit of fun, and you can play a fairly proper game of 40k with this. That's what you can't really do with the last one, even though you probably can with Necron side, but not really with Space Marine side, which is again the same reason why I didn't like First Strike as much. I don't really like the Recruit Edition, but the Elite Edition, you can have two of you, pay like 30 quid each, you can still get a decent start, be able to play a game, and then expand from there, which I think is quite nice. And then next up we have the Command Edition, which I don't think is quite nice. So it's basically the Elite Edition, but with a bit more terrain. Well, yeah, some proper terrain and the full rulebook. Now, the fact is, if you actually want to start playing 40k, you don't really need the full rulebook. It's much easier to learn. It's reference on places like Wikipedia and learn from YouTube and etc. You only really need the core rules on you, unless of course you're going to a tournament where you might want to reference things, but you're not going to do that as you start 40k. And that's the real problem. You don't really need the core rules as much. And with this terrain, the idea often is you share it. And so if you have two different people, unless they're like brothers or sisters and whatever, siblings, then you're not really going to be able to properly share this because you've got the terrain that you'll have to share. Again, you've got the rain rulers, which you don't really need. And I think this is a bit over the top. I think if you want to start, the Elite Edition is certainly much better. You don't really need the full advanced rulebook. So, although on paper it's quite a nice idea, the fact that even though you say, well, I do want the full proper rulebook, you're then paying, especially if you're going to share it. On the Space Marine side, you're paying over 50 quid for just 9 miniatures. In the past, it'd be like really, really good value for money, even if you're buying the whole thing with just one army, is what No No Fear and Dark Imperium were like. This one, it's like the Space Marine stuff is probably worth under half the box, so it's not too great, and that's why I personally don't like combat editions. That's probably only getting like 3 or 4 out of 10. Then, of course, about the paint sets, I think it's quite nice. They put the price up slightly, and there's a bit of inflation, but not too much at this time. And the effect, you've got these sort of intercessors. I really wish it would be real intercessors because they're a bit more useful. And then you've got the Necron Warriors and paint set. I think this is quite cool once you've bought the if you buy, let's say, Elite Edition. I'm going to say that because that's probably the one that you're most likely to want to buy. If you buy Elite Edition, then you can pop this in and pop in some glues, and then you can truly start playing for like only 90 quid. You've got a decent sized army from either Necrons or Space Marines, easily a combat patrol, maybe a bit more. And then you do also, as well as that, have your paints and your glues, and you can start actually building them, because like even with the command set, yes, you're paying 105, but you're gonna have to make that 130 by the time you get paints and glues and whatnot to start with. Which is, so they are quite useful. It would be a bit cooler. I'd rather they put it up to like 25 quid instead of the glue, so then you could truly use this as a proper way to start alongside. And that will, of course, also make Recruit Edition a bit better, because then you can have a bit more minis and everything you need to assemble them. But then, of course, that's not necessarily too necessary, and you probably do want more than 6 paints, which of course leads us on to the paint and tool set. You get 12 paints, all of which are going to be really useful, even not necessarily for because of course it's the same with 8th edition. They're not necessarily just necessary for Necrons and Space Marines, but these paints will be useful really in any army. And I think they have put up the price, and of course it might just be because of inflation, but I do think it is quite nice. So they've also stuck a scalpel in there, so it still feels like a bit of an upgrade on the last edition box. So that is really what I think of this. I think, in essence, I understand what they've done. I'm not too happy about what they did with the whole Command Edition thing. I wish they made it a bit more like Dark Imperium, like in comparison to Dark Imperium. You get effectively the same thing, but with less minis and more cost. Only a tiny bit of terrain, but it's only a tiny bit, and it's still not quite enough for a proper game, which is a bit of a shame. But that's what I think of it. I do hope you did enjoy this video and found it useful. If you did, of course, hit that like button and subscribe, and check out all my other videos on news. I did one about No Film First Strike Going, as well as all the real this is third one of effectively a series, and I've talked about all the different changes that have been made to the Games Workshop web store, with 8th edition going and 9th edition coming back. I know you quite like them. I hope you enjoy. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, comment down your opinions below, and I will be uploading a time bit less frequently because I'm not able to record. I'm going to schedule this to do a bit later after I record, but I will be back uploading more regularly on Sunday. After then, I should be back regularly once every couple of days is what I aim for. So turn notifications so you can get all those new videos as soon as they are uploaded. But for now, bye.